what do I got over here for Xbox games? Two Xbox games I purchased. First one I tried earlier this week, and it actually doesn't work on my Xbox, which is kind of weird. It's Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance. Carter was saying it might have something to do with the fact that Solid Snake is a Sony character, but I don't believe that would be why it wouldn't work on my Xbox. It's just I plugged the game in and it said, this game is not compatible with the Xbox 360. So I thought, well fuck, just wasted $15 on a game that doesn't play. And I'm not willing to buy an original Xbox just to play Metal Gear Solid 2. So I might either, well, I don't know if it's possible to give it back at this point. I might just keep it as a collectible item because Metal Gear Solid is an interesting series. And well, the second game I got is one that I had for the GameCube originally, but I picked it up for the Xbox. It's the Simpsons Road Rage, and this is basically a Crazy Taxi skeleton colored over with a bunch of Simpsons characters and a Simpsons story. Really, really fun, and it can be really addictive at times. It's it's actually a surprisingly good Simpsons game. Hit and Run, I hear, it's the sequel. It came out, I think, maybe 2-3 years later, and that was kind of like a Grand Theft Auto sort of game. You can get out of your car and stuff. But I really enjoyed Simpsons Hit and Run because, Simpsons Road Rage. And so I picked it up because Carter had, of course, been stupid and gave some of his games back, and this was one of them. We had beaten Simpsons Road Rage on the GameCube. It's a fairly easy story if you can keep playing and you have enough time to do it. Like, you have to finish all the missions and unlock all the characters, which can be fun because there's different characters that have different vehicles, and there's someone out there for everyone. I think the character I used a lot was Reverend Lovejoy in his book Burning Mobile. It's a giant truck and it had like burning books at the back of it, which is pretty cool. So I'm hoping to unlock him soon. I mean, there's a lot of other interesting characters from the series, like Chief Wiggum and of course Bart, Homer, Marge, Lisa. You've got that Professor Franks or whatever his name is. I think the granddad is there. This, like, I don't follow The Simpsons, but I mean, if you are a hardcore Simpsons fan, this game is definitely for you. So next up, I've got 2 PlayStation games and then one PlayStation 3 game, which I'll get to afterwards. So first up, PlayStation 1, we've got Resident Evil Survivor. I had not seen this game in any store prior to purchasing it, but I had heard about it. It's $40, so I mean, I thought this is probably a rare game. I figured I should try it. And Survivor, basically, it's a completely different story which follows, it kind of goes along the same lines as the Resident Evil universe. You play as this character named Ark Thompson, and he seems like just a random guy, but I'm sure there's a much deeper story to it. I haven't read much into the Survivor series itself. Of course, I'm a big Resident Evil fan, right? Like, Outbreak's in my top 5 games list. So far, I played a bit of it and got stuck at the part with 2 crocodiles coming in and killing me, like giving me like a fucking 3-way. And so I'll go back to it. There's a way obviously to beat those crocodiles, and I'll get to it during the summer because it seemed like a very promising game when I tried it. Secondly is a game that I was recommended by Anthony's buddy Tim, I believe, because I wanted to get into Final Fantasy. It's another series I had never tried officially because I'd only played the Crystal Chronicles game on the GameCube, which doesn't really count as a Final Fantasy game in my opinion. So I purchased Final Fantasy Origins, which has 1 and 2 on there. So it should be an interesting start to the series. I'm actually really excited to get this one started because it looks like a traditional RPG game, like a traditional RPG game to start them all. And it was on the Nintendo Entertainment System, I believe. That's how early, like in the 80s, I think that's when the series started, or the early 90s. But it's basically the RPG series to start all RPG series, and it's basically the beginning of this long saga and this long this big footprint that Final Fantasy has left on the video game RPG universe. And so it's basically, it reminds me a lot of, like, from the back art and like everything that's there, it reminds me of Golden Sun and Breath of Fire, the latter being a game that I played a lot when I was a kid. So I'm looking forward to playing Final Fantasy Origins this summer. it should be one of the games that I will be playing, because there are going to be games that might say I'm playing, but not get around to. But Final Fantasy Origins is a greatest hits game, and I feel like sooner rather than later to actually get into the Final Fantasy series, because I feel like that now there's 14 games out there in the main series, and it's like, wow, got a lot of catching up to do. And going into PS3, I've got one game. Actually, you know what? I might tie all these games together. I got Fear 1, 2, and 3. I got the entire series. This, of course, was another purchase for the Reliant Horror site. Fear 1, I can only find it for the PlayStation 3, while these two, I got it for the Xbox. Of course, Fear was a series that I was hesitant about getting into because I didn't like the concept of survival horror meets first-person shooter at the time. Though from a lot of gameplay video I've seen, I kind of helped turn my opinion around, because I mean there is still possibility of me being able to jump during the game. I guess it's just the concept of like you are overpowered, but like it's a game that really messes with your mind. So in a game like Silent Hill, where you are underpowered and you don't have many weapons to defend yourself, in a game like this, it requires you to almost like on a whim shoot at nothing that could be there. So, you know, something like that would, anything that makes me jump, you know, I'm all for it. So that's Fear 1, 2, and 3, obviously. And now I've got 5 more games to go through on the Xbox 360. First up, I've got Splinter Cell Double Agent. Last summer, I had purchased Conviction, saying that I wanted to get back into Splinter Cell because I sucked at Splinter Cell. There was that series I made about 2 or 3 years ago called How I Suck at Splinter Cell, and I had never beaten the first Splinter Cell, but when I went and played Conviction, I beat Conviction with a lot of patience and hard work and dedication when I was away at my cottage. So I thought, if I can beat Conviction, I can sure as hell beat any other Splinter Cell game out there. But Splinter Cell 1 and Splinter Cell Conviction are two completely different Splinter Cell games, yet they take place in the same universe. So I'm going to work my way kind of backwards and forwards and kind of meet my way in the middle. And Double Agent is kind of one of those games where I'm going to go forward to backwards. And with Splinter Cell, I have the first Splinter Cell game, so I mean I'll push to try to play that when I'm with my friends. We have this thing that I had talked about with them called the Motivational Game Night, where we kind of take a game that all of us are either struggling with or have never played before and just all kind of play like a LAN party sort of scenario. And Splinter Cell is going to be my game of choice, most likely, when we actually do sit down and have one of those game nights. Next up, I will talk about the first horror game out of the group of horror games I bought that I beat, which was $45 Dead Island used. Dead Island, I didn't do a review of it, but I really enjoyed it. And I didn't think I would, because when I started the game, it started really slow, and I got a really sort of Fallout vibe from it, because it was like, talk to these characters that you know, that you don't care anything about, and do quests for them in what seems like will be taking you nowhere at all, and you just revert back to square one, which in the end that wasn't really the case, because eventually the more I pressed on, the more I pushed forward faster, and the faster I pushed forward, the faster I pushed into more fun missions, more fun objectives to actually do, and a lot tougher scenario built as the game progressed. And it was a fairly easy game. I spent most of it online though, which also was kind of annoying. The online game rooms, like people join your game without you even asking them to, so they kind of take all your kills, and that's probably the most annoying part of the game. Other than that, the characters aren't that memorable, except for Sam B, which is the character I stuck with, who had that memorable "Who Do You Voodoo Bitch" song, and I think I had played the game because at the time I was going through a breakup, and I thought, why not take out my anger from the breakup by bashing zombies' heads in? And that seems like a reasonable way to put your time towards something else, rather than inflict damage upon yourself by worrying about it or just being depressed about it. So I thought, Dead Island, perfect excuse to bash zombies' heads in and get over a breakup. So if you want the perfect breakup game, Dead Islands is that game for you. I recommend Dead Island. Next up is another game I beat, not horror related, but the last two games after this are horror, is Skyrim. It speaks for itself. You guys have heard about Skyrim already, Arrow to the Knee, Fus Roda. Skyrim is out there, and Skyrim is bigger than ever, so I completely recommend it. I didn't think I'd get as addicted to it as I did. It actually pushed me away from Rock Band, so I gotta thank Skyrim for, helping me see that there are other games out there, and that I don't have to stick to just one or two games. So get Skyrim, because I would give this a 10 out of 10, because it'll keep you immersed, and it'll give you new things to do every single time. And no other game has, well, besides Rock Band, has given me something new to do every single time. Two more games left to do. I've got a $5 Condemned Criminal Origins. Mixed reviews I've heard on this one, actually. I think it might have been the second one that got mixed reviews. But Condemned Criminal Origins, I hear, is a really good game. And whether or not people love it or hate it, I hear the second one's probably just as scary as the first one, though that can be left up for debate. So the first one, I've seen the gameplay footage of it, is a gratifyingly terrifying game, so if that's two words you want to use together, but it's terrifying, to say the least. Of course it's not a game that messes with your head, and Lord knows might love me some psychological horror. So that's a Sega built game, so hopefully there's no Sonic references in there. One can only hope. Last game I'm going to show you guys is a game I'm currently working on right now, which is Shadows of the Damned, which is an interesting yet obscure title by Suda51, and it also consists of the creator of Resident Evil and the music composer for Silent Hill, which is an interesting trio to be working on games. So it's exactly like what you think. It's basically No More Heroes meets the horror genre of games, mixed with a completely fucked up story and a lot of over-the-top and witty humor that definitely not for kids. Let me just say that. Some kids get away with playing Call of Duty. Don't let your kids play Shadows of the Damned, just like you shouldn't let your kids play Dante's Inferno. So of course I can't be doing any videos of Shadows of the Damned if there's any nude scenes, because I've already came across a level that had nude scenes in it. So that's been my game pickups from September 2011 to May 2012. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take a look on the website gta-gamers.org for more information about any news, updates, reviews, features from our writers. And I hope you guys stick around, because we have another episode of the Stardust Drive podcast hopefully coming this month. So hopefully it'll be a return of me, my brother Carter, Anthony, and Chris, and maybe a guest. Who knows? We haven't planned that yet. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys around.